Hey there everyone, Jenkar here, and this is my third and final run of the boss rush. I set up a challenge for myself to actually run this a few times over, and every time I do so, I can't use the characters I used in the previous runs. In this case, like I mentioned, this is my third part of the run. My first run had Core, Garnet, Tidus, Alisae, Kain, Firion, and my second video had Seifer, llyud, Yang, Quistis, Reigns, Tifa, Beatrix, Strago, and Locke. Not in that order for the parties, that's just how I wrote it down, because I apparently don't have any good organization. That said, as we're going into this fight, I did wait a few more days to do this because obviously Cloud and Squall are synergy, so I decided I was going to bring them to this, wait for their C90s, and just basically obliterate this. I didn't do as well as I had hoped because I didn't bring Cloud to the first set. I wanted Cloud to really shine in the final set. The problem was my second team actually blew through a lot of this. So Squall right here has a C90 as mentioned, and I'm actually kind of set this up really badly. I'm really sad about that because I really should have set it up so Squall would have actually had the burst, not Zidane, because I would have did a lot more damage. Here I'm about to go into the burst with Zidane with a Reigns call. There's not really much of a reason to use a Reigns call if you're taking Zidane in, because you can actually set it up so you just have launches most of the way through. I'd say like halfway through, which honestly would do pretty well in this case, especially with all of the Brave gains. I guess it makes more sense to have Zidane do it at this point, but it's no big deal. Moving forward into that, Squall doesn't have his blue armor, which I only have just his base high armor, and I believe I blued Zidane, which in this case I kind of wish I had it backwards. Squall seems like he just does a lot more damage, and I didn't really use Zidane much during his cycle. I think I only used him in around 3, maybe 4 fights in total. However, I digress. That being said, here I take quite a bit of advantage of Rem here, and I just have Rem just let Squall spam, because Squall isn't really the fastest character in existence, and Zidane is, so I just decide, well, Rem's just going to make Squall do all the things, and I wasn't really disappointed at all. Squall does really good damage right now. He isn't the greatest, but he always has 2 follow-up hits. He doesn't have Brave in between his attacks, which is the biggest downfall of him. I mean, he can still do, like, I think around 700,000 damage with most of his attacks. Anywhere between 5 to 700,000, which is still quite a bit right now. It'll fall off in the next month or 2, but I mean, still, who doesn't at this point? Like, there's only a few characters I can really think of that didn't really fall off hard after a month or 2. And that was before this era, and the biggest thought I could come into that is Reigns, which is really interesting because Reigns' the last chapter is coming up real soon, and they don't really give him much because he didn't need much. He still has the best EX in the game, but I digress. Going through here, we have 14 turns left. It's about halfway through their turns, and right here, I'm just going to start getting down as fast as possible. The first wave, I always forget, is the hardest when it comes to these boss rushes. Usually, they have the most health. The orb's the easiest to deal with, and you just have to blaze right through it. If you don't blaze right through it, you're gonna have a bad time. So I have the summon here, and I see Squall's EX pop up, and I'm like, I gotta hit this button, I gotta hit this button, I gotta hit this button. And I was not disappointed when I did that. 800,000 for a character who only has base armor? That's real good. It's really, really, really good. But I just keep the idea that I'm just gonna make Squall do lots and lots of damage, so obviously my response is to make Squall do lots and lots of damage. I mean, there really isn't much past that. Squall just goes right through, and you just keep swapping the Squall, because honestly, having Zidane's burst effect up right now is more important than letting Zidane take turns. Like, Zidane still has a few uses of Solution 9, which is great, but it's not crazy good. So, like, Solution 9's his most hitting skill. I believe it has 4 HP dumps. I mean, Squall has that on almost every one of his skills right now. Like 1, 2, 3, and 4. I mean, that's a lot of damage. So right here, it's just make them take as many turns as I can, and that was the most unfortunate thing, was that I had to use a whole turn on the 1% that honestly was probably like a few thousand health left. 6 turns coming into the second fight. I was really hoping that I was gonna get them down like 20-30%, because if I had, I would have just brought Cloud to this, and I probably could have 2-teamed this, but c'est la vie, not much I could do about it at this point. Right here, though, I never actually remember how the buffs and debuffs go for in between the actual teams that we have. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna put my cursor on my call-up just in case it actually stacks. And right here is the end of the first team, which is around 80% for the second wave, which is pretty good. It's not crazy good, but it's pretty good, especially for a team that, you know, doesn't have a BT plus first squall. If I had BT plus first squall, this probably would have been a lot different. And coming into the second team, I actually was see my failure at management of my characters, but I decided as I was going through this, I was like, well, I guess it's just time to use all my bursts, and I basically did so. So for this team, I believe I take Garnet, Ace, Garnet, I've been using Garnet way too much. Garland, Ace, and Noel. This team will do some stonks. Even without the part of having all of them capable of C90, I'm so sorry. Like, only Noel has a C90. Ace still is one of the best off-turn attackers. Like, even though it only has one dump, well, it's technically 1.5 dumps when you really think about it if there's 2 enemies. If there's 3, it's like 3 1/4. Well, more like 3 3/4. But I mean, still, that's a good amount of damage. But I mean, going through here, they're all gonna just put all of their burst attacks up, and I really was trying to do that thing where I don't let them ever have turns, and I'm not sure if I actually pull that off here. Like, while I have Noel and I do have Garland just hitting them over and over again to try and make that happen, I don't think I actually get it to go off. That said, Ace does take the burst here because he does do a lot of damage. And by a lot of damage, I mean his burst attack doesn't. But we do start prepping to get his burst attack up, and we just get it to do lots of damage. Like, Noel still does good damage, especially if you have people who enable him. This team doesn't technically enable Noel, but that doesn't mean it is going to stop them from doing lots of damage. No, no, no. Now we have 3 of the burst effects on the field right now, and I'm like, all right, well, the burst attack effects are up right now, and I do an attack up just to get it going, and I do Jackpot Triad. So we're just basically waiting right here for Ace to come up so he can do his burst, but we have Noel's EX attack, so we're going to use it, and we do basically 1 million damage with it, which is really good, honestly, especially since we don't really technically have a support on this team. The support is literally just relying on burst effects. So Alisae call into Ace, which will make damage go oodles up, and we go straight into this burst here. We have the extra attack from Jackpot Triad, and we'll just get whole, and we'll get Triad back up, so everybody can just start doing lots more damage. Because I mean, that's the thing about his traps. Even if they aren't going off during the burst phase itself, it increases the damage he does because they both have defense down. It's still really good. Like, and here we go. There's his burst attack going off, and right as we go into his regular burst attack, 500,000, 500,000, and he does 6 million, which still is technically less than Zidane did, but Zidane's HP attack for early VT plus character is really, really strong, especially if you have enough HP damage up for the party. Like Kurosame, you have Fron, maybe a Garnet in your party. It will do a lot of damage. But yeah, we're down at 14 turns right now, and they're almost dead. Ace here just kind of just makes things happen. That's the fun thing about Ace. He just does lots of damage that make it move forward, and Garland just gets his 5 stacks off, and we go into the final fight here. We have 11 turns left. I was thinking, oh, I might be able to do this, and then I realized really early on that I do not have a holy call, and that becomes really unfortunate, because I probably could, if I had tried really hard, I probably could have got them down to, I don't really remember, probably like 30%. Because I mean, having the triple team like this of BT pluses, it's still a lot of damage. It's just not the greatest amount of damage. And right here, I was like, all right, this is fine. We have 5 turns left. I'm just gonna go through as hard as I can, use everything. I thought they 69%, not 79. I was like, crap, what do I do? The good news is that they won't actually hit 0, which they won't hit 0 before or close to it before I go into the next team, and his BT effect goes off right as we're in here, which is really good. We're at 68, 69% for both of them. They have 4 turns left on the counter, 65, 64. Like, they don't have a lot of health. Any C90 team honestly could blaze right through this, at least this team. They're both paralyzed, so it doesn't matter if they take turns or not. But we just gotta keep moving on, guys. And it's really, really funny. I'm sorry. I just got distracted by the part. I still have the snowboard on Garland. It's always so funny to watch him just run around with a snowboard in his hand and says, "Oh, bro, Omnia on it." It's just covered in moogles. It just makes me laugh every single time. And we have 2 attacks left, and then we go straight into our final team. There will be a little treat in the middle of this for you guys, just to show how much I'm paying attention. And here we go. We go on to our final team. Remember, I've already used 15 characters before I started any of these fights. So I was like, okay, who do I have left? So my response is, let's make Cloud's Burst do as much damage as possible. So I take Cloud, I take Butts, and I take Aroha. Oh man, I'm gonna do so much damage with this. It's gonna be great. We have a Kurosame call, we have Kate Sith, we have a Roha in the field. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be so much damage. Why is there 4 turns left? Why is there 3 turns left? I need to get this up. I need to get this up. I need to get this up. Turn counter is really low right now. I really hope I can get back up. And then I go straight into All Boost, which is 2 turns. Why is that 2 turns? And then we go into Lucky Girl, which is 1 turn. And I go into the Burst Attack. So I Burst Attack, and yep, counts down. And I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll kill, and it kills. So there's my blooper for the time being. I just thought I was just gonna leave it in here because it's really, really funny to just see someone who's like coming into this. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna set this up. It's gonna be great. I realized that I had to just have to go as hard as humanly possible, so I go straight into the call and go into a Roha. I do a Lucky Girl. I go into the Burst Attack, and I go almost directly. I'm just like, why isn't this working? Player has to do brave damage. But the thing is I think they're immune to the debuffs, which is probably why it happened. So I just go into the Kurosame call, just get it up, and then I jump straight into this burst. I have to. If I don't, I die. Just gotta go as hard as I can. And obviously Cloud with his launches just does so much damage, and we just take full advantage of that. Coming into this Blade Beam, coming into this with the green use is always really good. I really wish I had gotten the C65 off, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't make it happen. So we just kind of do an alternative. So we start off with Finishing Touch. We go into Blade Beam, which will then let me go into Finishing Touch. Oh no, I go into Meteor Rain, and then I go into Finishing Touch, which will allow me to do one more attack, which you should always do C65 if you can, just because it'll make you do more damage, make you do more hits. And this is why I brought a Roha. This is why I brought the Kate Sith call, and this is why I brought Kurosame. And that just did 1.8 million damage to one of them. 8.3, I didn't have any follow-ups. I just had auras and just some calls. So strong. Cloud is really, really good right now. I'm not biased at all, but I really think he's really good right now. But that is that for all my challenges. I really appreciate everyone who's watched all of our videos so far, and other than that, I'll see you guys next time. You have a great day. Take care.